From Jakarta, Indonesia.
U.S. Islamophobia strategy, Hamas victims identification, attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq, Syria keep coming.
MLINE Totally Updates powered by VOA, Voice of America.
American Muslim groups say that the Biden administration effort to combat rising Islamophobia in the U.S. must go hand in hand with the protections of civilians in Gaza from Israel's retaliatory strikes against Hamas that have killed thousands of Palestinians.
Incidents of Islamophobia are on the rise following Hamas' October 7 attack on Israel, including the killing of a Palestinian American boy last month, allegedly in a hate crime.
A 71-year-old man sitting on top of a 6-year-old kid, stabbing her more than 26 times.
As the war in Gaza intensifies, Islamophobia and anti-Semitism in the U.S. have increased. The administration released its national strategy to counter anti-Semitism in May. It said it has long worked on a strategy to counter Islamophobia.
This is an administration that's taken action not just the last couple of weeks or the last couple of months, but started this process back in December of last year.
It is important for the White House to develop a plan to combat Islamophobia, but that plan must begin first and foremost with calling for an end to the Israeli government's bombardment of the Gaza Strip. That violence in Gaza is what is fueling unrest and bigotry around the world, including the targeting of Muslim Palestinian Americans.
Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! The White House denies that the announcement of its Islamophobia initiative was done to placate Muslims angry at President Joe Biden's unwavering support for Israel.
This strategy is born from a genuine desire to go after the kind of hate in America that could lead to real threats of violence against real people.
Some Muslims have threatened to mobilize votes against Biden in the 2024 presidential election.
You stand for war, and because of that, we have abandoned you in your war, and we stand for the children of Gaza. Abandon Biden.
Many Muslim groups believe Biden and his Democratic Party have taken their vote for granted.
There are different ways we can address that problem. I don't see us allowing a Trump presidency, for example, to be the answer.
Former President Trump, the frontrunner in the Republican primary field, said last month that if re-elected, he will send officers to pro-Palestinian rallies to arrest and deport immigrants who publicly support Hamas and reinstate travel bans from terror-plagued countries. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News at the White House.
For the family of the war victims, the painful waiting for the bodies of their loved ones to be identified is not over. VOA's Natasha Mosgovaya visited the family of Shani Luke, who this week received confirmations of her death.
22-year-old Shani Luke became a symbol of the Hamas cruelty. She is one of 260 people killed by Hamas militants who attacked a music festival in South Israel on October 7. Shani's father, Nissim Luke, says the family recognized her tattoos on an unconscious woman seen on social media in the back of a pickup truck full of armed men.
My daughter Shani is a beautiful, beautiful girl, and most of the people saw her in a horrific way. She was thrown on the back of a pickup and led into Gaza. And since then, of course, we don't have any clue where her body is. But we got full confirmation that she was dead and was shot right on spot of the party.
Nissim Luke says the family did not know that Shani was attending the music festival that day.
I was sure that she's in Tel Aviv in her apartment. So we called her to tell her to go into the basement because we know that she was sleeping a lot in the morning and she was tired in the morning. And we wanted to tell her to go into a shelter because there are rockets all over. And then she answered it and she said, look, we are at the party in the south near Gaza and we are heading towards Tel Aviv because here there's a mess.
Despite seeing video of the woman the family believed to be Shani, they held out hope after a message from an activist in Gaza that Shani was at a hospital. This week, the family received confirmation of her death from a forensics team that tested a fragment of her skull.
It's very hard to know that that our beloved girl was murdered, and probably we'll never see her body even again. But in the other hand, it's a relief because I know that she's dead and she didn't suffer a lot and she's not under the underground tunnels of the Hamas.
The forensic team at the Israeli military base Shura still receives bodies, many mutilated and difficult to identify.
We have seen signs of abuse. We have seen decapitated bodies. We have seen bodies that are dismembered. We have seen bodies that were handcuffed. We've seen bodies that are burned. I think that's enough to say that that's not what you see normally in crime scenes.
At the Luke house, relatives of other victims come to console them, like the father of a reservist killed in Kfar Aza. Nissim Luke says Israel wants peace, but Hamas must pay for what it did. Meanwhile, Levin Elad says the forensic team's top mission is to help other families like the Lukes learn what happened to their loved ones. Natasha Mozgovaya, VOA News, Srigim, Leon, Israel.
In the days following of the massacre of hundreds of Israelis by Iranian-backed Hamas, the U.S. military have blamed other Iranian-backed proxy group for about 30 near-daily attacks against its forces in Iraq and Syria. Last week, the U.S. retaliated with precision strikes against facilities in Syria tied to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps and affiliated group, but the attack against the American personnel, while largely unsuccessful, have not been stopped.
If this doesn't stop, then we will respond.
Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin warning Iranian-backed militant groups on Tuesday while fielding concerns from lawmakers that last week's U.S. military response to the attacks in Iraq and Syria wasn't strong enough.
If we do not have a credible, not just a deterrence, a credible deterrence with the Iranians, these attacks are going to escalate. They're going to come faster, they're going to spread beyond Syria and Iraq, and they will involve weaponry of increasing sophistication and lethality. And that is my biggest fear.
Hundreds more troops have deployed to the region, along with multiple Patriot batteries and a terminal high-altitude area defense system to knock threats out of the sky. The USS Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group is heading to the Gulf, while the USS Ford Carrier Strike Group prowls the eastern Mediterranean. Thousands of Marines aboard the USS Bataan amphibious assault ship patrol near Israel. The top U.S. Marine, General Eric Smith, tells VOA those forces are there to protect and deter, not to go into Gaza.
There is no intent that I am aware of to have any U.S. personnel on the ground in Gaza. That is not anything, as a member of the Joint Chiefs, that I am prepared to talk about or that I have even discussed. We are there to ensure, in that region, to ensure that American citizens are safe and that this crisis does not expand or escalate.
For those who seek to broaden the conflict and target American troops, Smith gave this warning.
If you target us, someone else is going to raise your children. And that's not a joke, that's not bravado, that's just how Marines think.
Carla Babb, VOA News, the Pentagon.
The Voice of America, VOA.
Please sing along. This is called Scared to Be Lonely.
That is it for MLINE Top 3 Updates powered by VOA Voice of America. This edition will be seeing you soon for the next one. Meanwhile, check on my Instagram account at mirzawardana to get the best online shopping recommendation through the link posted on the story or on the profile. Just click and go shopping right ahead. Until next time, bye-bye.